Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Versus, where I take whiskeys, put them head to head, and let you know which one deserves that coveted spot on your whiskey shelf. Tonight I have two different whiskeys from the islands of Scotland. We've got the Highland Park 12, which comes from the Orkney Isles, has a rich heritage of Vikings, tradition spanning over 200 years, and a history of producing award-winning whiskeys. Next we have the Talisker 10, which comes from the Isle of Skye. It was founded by an adventurous spirit, has tradition spanning almost 200 years, and also has a history of producing award-winning whiskeys. The Highland Park 12 is a Scotch whose newest marketing upgrade has really focused in on that whole Viking theme and undoubtedly caused this to become some people's first Scotch. However, with a more refined taste and a more traditional sense, the Talisker 10 might be one that's more recommended by a friend. So, tonight we're going to be calling this one the Battle of Heather and Sea. Highland Park 12 was introduced in 1979. It's aged for 12 years, chill filtered, has natural color, bottled at 43% ABV, finished in ex-sherry, and when mixed with other unpeated malt, it's reduced to about 4 to 6 ppm phenol. Talisker 10 was introduced in 1989. It's aged for 10 years, chill filtered, has color added, bottled at 45.8% ABV, matured in American oak casks, and peated to a phenol level of approximately 18 to 22 ppm. A difference of 2 years, 3%, and about $13, as well as a general maturation approach, has really caused these two to diverge. However, they're both meant to appeal to a broad audience. So, let's find out the real differences here in the nosing and the tasting. So we're going to go right into the Highland Park, and we're going to give this a nose. So, when you talk about the nose of Highland Park, there is this full, almost heavy quality to this. There's a lot of substance in the nose, and in fact there's a lot of complexity in the nose as well, and a lot of that is owed to the ex-sherry barrels. You're getting salt, but you're also mostly getting things like flowers or apples and pears. It's absolutely not unpleasant whatsoever, but it's getting honey, it's getting grass, a little bit of smoke, but very, very mild, and a lot of just fruity kind of light and crisp types of smells. But let's see how it does on the taste. Cheers. So the fullness maintains. You are still tasting a lot of those pears and the apples and the honey. You're also getting a lot more of the smoke than you did on the nose. So there is a lot more going on here. The peat's a little bit more prevalent, and I think that's interesting because it's very different than what you just smelled, and that could off-put some people. However, what it gives you is a taste that allows for some exploration, and that's unique, or not unique, that is a good quality to have in a whiskey. It's something that a newer person to whiskey can really get into and figure out and take some time with. So, I'd call that a plus. So you're getting a little bit more of the saltiness as well. All right, let's have some water real quick. Kind of clear this one out. I did the Highland Park first because it is less peated, and Talisker 10 the Highland Park would have a hard time holding up to the Talisker 10 if I did it the other way around. Keep that in mind for your own tasting at home. Drink whatever is more heavily peated last. All right, let's go ahead and have a smell. Now there's an interesting smell here. There is kind of like that iodine Band-Aid thing that you're getting with some of the heavier peated whiskeys. It's very common from this area of Scotland. However, you're also getting kind of this, it's more of a light smoke. You are, what do I want to say? Whereas you're getting that iodine and Band-Aid, it's in a lighter way that also allows some of the orange to come out as well. But there's also quite a bit of like an ocean spray, sea salt, etc. A little bit of brininess, like seaweed in there. And for me personally, it's something I love to smell in whiskeys, scotches, but it is also something that I could see being off-putting to some people if that's not what you're into or not what you were expecting. So let's go ahead and have a taste. Cheers. So, the taste here is something I really enjoy. and I'm trying to make sure that I'm considering what others would enjoy. So the specific tasting notes is adhesives, iodine, seaweed, ocean spray, smoke, clove, sea salt. There is not a ton going on outside of the profile that you would expect, whereas like this was a combination of, Scotch and sherry, really. This is all peated Scotch. So that's important to know. These are meant to do different things. But because I could see somebody potentially picking up either one as an early on whiskey based off their own experiences, that's why I felt like this versus was necessary. So, question I'm going to ask to the audience here, all of you. Which one do you think would get your vote for, kind of the one that somebody should go to first? That's what I want you to put down in the comments below. But I'm going to talk about this here. If you are brand new to whiskey, I wouldn't actually recommend either one of these be your first whiskey. I think that there's some other examples. I'll put a link up there. It's intro to Scotch essentially, but either one of these will fulfill the itch that you need if it's what you're expecting. This one is a sherried, slightly peated Scotch. So you're going to get some of those fruit flavors. You're also going to get a little tiny bit of smoke. This one is a peated whiskey that has just a hint of fruit flavors to it. So it's kind of the opposite. This is fruity with a hint of smoke. This is smoky with a hint of fruit. So what is it that you want? Well, for me personally, because this is my show and this is my verses, to me, the Highland Park does not hold a candle to the Talisker 10. The Talisker 10 is more in my wheelhouse, but more so, it is a more refined and traditional flavor that you might be looking for in your Scotch. It is not as complex in that there aren't as many things, but the things that it does very well. Whereas the Highland Park, I feel like, didn't know what it wanted to be. I feel like the Highland Park is trying to be too many things and not doing any of them very well. It's a jack of all trades, right? Knows a little bit of everything, but not good at any of those. So that would be my vote. I think the Talisker 10 takes this by a landslide, honestly. I wouldn't even hold a candle to it. So that does it for this episode of Versus. Be sure to check out all the links in the description below. Let me know in the comments, what do you think, which of these two would be your pick? And more importantly, what do you want to see a Versus episode on? I've got lots of bottles of whiskey, and I'm happy to compare them because it just means I get to drink. So, have a great rest of your night. Cheers. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I forget. At the end of these Versus episodes, I have to mix them and tell you if they're any good. So, does smell pretty good, actually. I always forget to do this. That's interesting, actually. That's a very good blend, at least on the nose. You are getting all of both. You're getting a lesser peat, but more fruit. So that's really cool, actually. If you have this at home, mix these two together, maybe after you hear me whether it tastes any good or not. So cheers. The taste isn't quite there for me, but it would not surprise me to have had this as a whiskey. Like, this feels like it was something that was done on purpose by somebody who knew what they were doing. That's really interesting. I don't know what kind of parts I had there, if it was equal parts, felt like about equal parts. But what you're getting here is a little overwhelming with the Talisker as far as the peat goes, so you do lose a lot of the nuance of the Highland Park, but you get the nose of the Highland Park. So if you know that what you're gonna nose is not what you're gonna taste, whereas right now I kind of did, this is a pleasant whiskey because it smells really good and it tastes really good. But I guess that's it. If you have these two at home, mix them together. See what you think. Let me know in the comments. But let's have a great rest of your night. Cheers.